Hi, my name is Juliana Crouch. This is my Module 3 assignment for Introduction to Psychology. Today we'll be really talking about gender measurement. Is it right? Is it fair? What is gender, etc. These are my speaking points, so I will be referring to them most often. So we'll just delve right in. So, a requirement for this assignment was to take the Open Sex Role Inventory questionnaire, and I really didn't know what to expect with this questionnaire. I thought it was going to be the stereotypical do you like blue or do you like pink? Do you like to bake or do you like to watch football? Those kinds of things. And to my surprise, it was even more stereotypical. And you think, how can you get more stereotypical than do you like blue or pink? One of the questions that made me laugh was, do you like guns? And to me, this question is geared towards someone who identifies as a male. The other question that really stuck out to me was, do you leave notes for people? And that to me was a question that's geared towards someone who identifies as a female. Uh, do I believe that this questionnaire is an adequate way to measure gender? No, absolutely. This firm no. Um, and here's why. You can't measure gender because it's self identifiable. Gender is much more than biology, it's much more than a body part. Gender is emotion, characteristics, mannerisms. It's more than a body part when it comes down to it. Um, Gender is self identifiable, so there's no way to measure it. You can't put it on a spectrum, you can't find a median of it. Gender can also be identified by families and culture and physicians. And some people who are identified as male will run with it for the rest of their life. They identify as a male, and it's not just because of family; it's because they are a male. Some people are identified as a male and they switch to a female because that is how they want to identify themselves. And that alteration really comes with insight to ourselves. It comes with our emotions and our mannerisms. Um, and it really comes with maturing and finding who we are. I had a very close friend in high school who is transgender, and she is now a woman, but when she was born, she was identified as a male. And at 3 years old, when she could speak fluently, she walked up to her parents one day and she said, I'm supposed to be a girl. And that's something that you can't coach a 3-year old. They don't learn that from the TV, especially not 22 years ago. This isn't something that you read in a book as a 3-year old or your parents read to you as a 3-year old. She had no other family members who were transgender. That she knew about. And that to me, talking about learning about the subject today really spoke out to me because as 3 years old, she knew how to identify herself. She knew that she found more enjoyment in Barbie dolls and makeup than she ever did with dirt and Tonka trucks. And how do you measure that? Really, how do you measure that? Whenever I read this assignment in the beginning of the week, I thought, wow, how am I going to talk for 8 minutes? And then I watched the sports video and I thought, oh, that's how I'm going to get this done. The videos were really astonishing to me. I am completely floored. I am I was really disappointed in our society that we go to those great measures to find out if someone is truly what they identify as, if they're truly a man or a woman, and if their genetic makeup is the backbone of that or not, just because of their athletic abilities. And sadly, it was mostly women who were, pointed out. And one of the questions after watching the videos is, how should we measure gender? Well, how do you measure anything that's not measurable? We can't. We cannot measure gender. There's no way to possibly do it. I don't think we should do it. Instead of measuring gender, why don't we measure some things like strength, agility, endurance, and people with higher strength and higher agility and higher endurance, why don't they all play sports together? And people who are in the median play sports together, and so on and so forth. So you can measure those things. You can see if someone can lift 200 pounds 10 times, and you can see if someone can run 6 miles without their heartbeat accelerating, and you can adequately measure those things. And that's how I think we should measure for people to be able to play sports together. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a minute. Next question for this assignment is, what is right? What is right is not measuring gender. What is right is not suspecting that someone is not who they identify as because their athletic ability is incredible. It's not right to put somebody out there in the public's eye because she identifies as a woman and runs like a man, or she identifies as a woman but she has muscles like a man. A man isn't born with those muscles. He trains for them and he works out for them, and he earns them just like women do. That is right. That leaving people alone and letting them be good at what they're good at and never speculating or never putting them under a microscope. That is right. That is right. And it's funny how people don't come into skepticism until someone outshines them or someone beats their team. I had a little bit of a chuckle at the Korean soccer team because it was obvious that they lost to the team who supposedly had the woman that is a man, and that's why they wanted to boycott the league if this gender testing didn't get done. And it's not right. It really isn't. We subject a human to go through this testing. We're not subjecting a test rat or someone in a research study who voluntarily decided to do this. Like, we are putting a human under a microscope, and it's not just the microscope of a physician. This is a microscope of an entire sports league, an entire newscast, journalist. This is under a microscope ultimately as a nation. Because everybody wants to know, is this a boy or a girl? Are they going to be on the team next year? That's not right. Subjecting a human being to this testing isn't right. They're not just going to test, the inside of a cheek swab. They're not just going to take their blood one time and put it through a whatever machine. They are going through testing for weeks and sometimes even months. This isn't just a one visit and you're done. And all the while they're going through all this testing, their career is basically on the line. Am I going to be able to be a professional soccer player next year? Is what I identify as going to be in my genetic makeup. Those are scary. Those are scary things to have on the line. Is it fair to put someone out in the public's eye view? No, just because someone else suspects that they aren't as they identify. It's amazing that when a woman performs as a top-notch athlete, that all of a sudden she is in the spotlight. And it's not because of her amazing performance or her abilities. It's because she runs like a man. She looks like a man. She speaks like a man. Most people don't even take into account hormones. If a woman has more testosterone than estrogen, she may have a deeper voice, or she may have a little bit more facial hair. I know many very feminine women who have facial hair, and they just maintain it. They wax it, they shave it, whatever have you. It's not fair, because if someone's, in these cases, physical abilities are put under the microscope because they're amazing at what they do. It's not fair to strip them of their rights. It's not fair to put them under a microscope. And circling back around, there's no adequate way to measure gender. You can't take a 22 question test to find out if you're more feminine or masculine. We're not made from cookie cutters. We're not going to be alike. We're all different, and that's really what makes the world go around. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I pinpointed everything and didn't go off on too much of a tangent. Thanks.